Your car's acting up until you take it to your mechanic. Then it performs perfectly until you leave the shop. Wish for a way to end this madness? When I come back, I'll tell you how.
O'Reilly. If your vehicle isn't stopping like it used to, visit O'Reilly Auto Parts for the Spring Brake Deals event. Take advantage of the O'Reilly Auto Parts Do It Right rebate and get a $20 O'Reilly gift card by mail when you buy a set of Brake Best Select pads and a pair of rotors. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
There is a way to end the madness when your car won't act up for your mechanic the way it does when you drive it. Here's your repair shop prescription. Keep a diary. Record when and where your car displays its bad behavior. Note the weather. Is it hot, cold, raining? How much gas was in the tank? And was the engine warm or cold? Keep this diary for a week. Then share the information with your automotive physician, your mechanic. You'll be surprised at the facts you gather and the heartburn you avoid. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with another Car Clinic Minute. Your car's been Old Faithful for 60,000 miles, but now it's starting to run hotter, especially in slow traffic. Before it erupts, I may have a cure, and when we come back, I'll tell you.
O'Reilly.
If your vehicle isn't stopping like it used to, visit O'Reilly Auto Parts for the Spring Brake Deals event. Take advantage of the O'Reilly Auto Parts Do It Right rebate and get a $20 O'Reilly gift card by mail when you buy a set of Brake Best Select pads and a pair of rotors. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
If Old Faithful's too hot because rust and corrosion have formed in its radiator, here's a cure. Pour 3 ounces granulated spick and span into your radiator and drive 2 weeks. Then drain the dirty, toxic fluid from your radiator and take it to your repair shop for disposal. Refill the radiator with plain water and drive an hour to dissolve leftover impurities. Continue this process until only clean water's drained. Then fill your radiator with a 50-50 mix of water and coolant. Now you can erupt with happiness at avoiding costly repairs caused by overheating. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Mother Nature used to call the shots with real motor oil, but then Sister Synthetic got the ball. But wait, Mother may have rallied. Whew! When I come back, I'll do a play-by-play for the Oilers.
O'Reilly.
If your vehicle isn't stopping like it used to, visit O'Reilly Auto Parts for the Spring Brake Deals event. Take advantage of the O'Reilly Auto Parts Do It Right rebate and get a $20 O'Reilly gift card by mail when you buy a set of Brake Best Select pads and a pair of rotors. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
There's a game of fantasy football played right in your engine. It's Mother Nature's oil versus Sister Synthetics. Here are the stats. Mother Nature's oil was undefeated in the early days as the lubricant of choice. Then Sister Synthetic came to town, delivering a superior product, but at a higher price. Now, Mother Nature may have the ball again with a new process called pure base refining, which claims to mimic synthetic superiority, but more economically. Wow, what an exciting Oilers playoff, because you, the consumer, will be the ultimate winner. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll-free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And good morning, folks. Welcome to this edition of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you join us today. Just stick around and ride along with me for the next hour, and I'll answer your car questions. I can hear you, John. And so just let me know I can hear you. So I'm eavesdropping on John. And they're in the studio, so that's kind of interesting. I can hear what's going on. So when you call, you'll be able to, there you go, you got it fixed. So, John Irvin does a great job. He's our new producer, and he has caught on more quickly than any past producer. So congratulations, sir. You're doing a great job. I appreciate that. And Millie, we'll take your call at 888 Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by O'Reilly Auto Parts. When you need auto parts, O'ReillyAuto.com is just a few clicks away, offering convenient options for you to get your parts quickly. You can order online at O'ReillyAuto.com and pick them up free at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store. We'll even bring them out to you, folks, curbside. I mean, that's great service, right? Or you can choose to have your parts delivered right to your door with free shipping on most orders over $35. So get your auto parts quickly with O'Reilly Auto Parts. Visit O'ReillyAuto.com today. Okay, 888-227-2546. What's that? That's my number. Call me when I get back. A 2013 Honda Accord came in the shop running rough, stalling, and a check engine light. The vehicle had originally been repaired by another shop. After a thorough diagnosis, we found the vehicle was generating a bad signal from the crankshaft position sensor. This seemed odd as it had just recently been replaced, but the scope doesn't lie. A bad waveform signal needs to be fixed. Our solution? A new crankshaft position sensor from Motorrad. A longtime leader for vehicle thermostats and caps, Motorrad now offers engine management products that are engineered to meet and or exceed OEM specifications. They're designed to perform under severe operating conditions and are resistant to extreme heat. We made the change, and that fixed the car. Motorrad engine management products are manufactured in Tier 1 OEM facilities with top quality qualifications. They undergo comprehensive 100% in-line and end-of-line testing to ensure uncompromising quality. Learn more about Motorrad engine management products and other Motorrad solutions at Motorrad.com. Our inbox has been especially full these past few weeks as people are looking for advice regarding keeping their vehicles road ready. Jim from Dallas wrote, "What can I do to make sure my vehicles are prepared and ready to go?" Jim, the economic impact of the current health crisis has touched every hardworking American. Making your dollar stretch further is more important than ever before. Commuting to grocery stores and other essential outlets has changed the way most Americans drive. Shorter trips and lower operating temperatures can increase the probability of carbon buildup in your vehicle's engine combustion chamber. Look to Berryman products to help maintain optimum performance in MPG. Berryman's intake valve and combustion chamber cleaner is a simple-to-use kit that can truly add fuel economy, better performance, and longevity to your vehicle's engine. Regular use of Berryman B12 fuel system cleaner can assist you in maintaining a clean and healthy fuel injection system. Check out Berryman products' complete line of maintenance and cleaning products designed for do-it-yourselfer and professional technicians alike at BerrymanProducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
P-Ricey Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning. Happy morning, your name is Folgers Mountain Grow. Now you're here, your aroma helps me wake, and the day is mine to take. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started with today's broadcast. You know, every Saturday from 10 till noon, I come to you from the center of the automotive universe. And the center of the automotive universe is a really sophisticated, and I'll say sophisticated in as much as, although we built this studio in 1996 and installed it inside an automotive shop, and it's an all-digital studio. We designed it, did the floor plan layout and everything involved, and then Acoustic Systems in Austin, Texas, actually built the studio. And Acoustic Systems, a little bit about that company, started out and owned by a doctor, and the doctor built rooms like you go to a hospital or to get a hearing aid. They have the little well, the hearing aid doesn't have they have a booth that you get in, but the hospitals have a larger room so they can do tests on your hearing, and etc. So that doctor said, you know, these studios are really quiet, and they're affordable, well, to a point, and affordability is what it is. But the bottom line. So the studio is in segments, and if you have, let's say you had a room that's 10 by 10, or let's say 40 by 40, doesn't matter, as long as you can install the studio within a room, as long as you have a doorway opening and you have 6 inches to work from the existing wall. That's how easy it is, and I use that word easy. The slabs that make up the side of the studio are very interesting. They're 48 inches wide, they're 4 inches thick, and they're 9 feet tall. So if you put like sticks, like an assembly, if you put all those sticks together, then cumulatively you end up with a sealed box. And each time that you slide one of those wall plaques or wall assemblies, stick I call it, together, there's insulation in between. So the trick is to seal out not air, not audio, not sound, but that's the object, that's the goal. The trick is to seal out any air. So, and then there are mufflers that are the size of a pickup bed split in half, and I'll say they're about 8 inches thick. They're about 2 feet wide, and then they're 9 feet tall. And the air conditioner ductwork blows air into those, they look like fuel tanks that are mounted on the side of the studio. And inside those fuel tanks are mufflers that make the air go around like an air filter, sort of like, we've talked about K&N air filters before, and where the air has to flow around a W-shaped object, and every time you turn the direction of air, it scrubs off any dirt that's in that air. Well, every time you change the direction of air flow into this room, it muffles out any sound that was on the outside. And you end up with nothing more than a 6x8 grill inside the studio. Unbeknownst to what you might if you were to look at it. So I said all that to say that it's great. It's very comfortable for me because we're on a 10,000 pound floor that's off grade. We're inside an automotive shop with impact guns running as we speak, and yet you can't hear any of that. And what's more important, I can't hear, so it doesn't bother me, so I can concentrate on your calls. So with that, I just thought I would share a little bit with you about the facility, because the facility is state of the art, although we built it in 1996. And why is it state of the art? Because we continue to upgrade it with new electronics, and that's a whole other world right there. Okay, we'll take your calls, and we're going to go to Nevada first and take a call from Eric. Eric, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. You were first in, so you're first up.
Good morning, Bobby. First of all, I want to thank you for your show. I really enjoy listening every Saturday.
Thank
Bobby,
you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
I've got a 2007 Lexus RX 350 all-wheel drive with about 155,000 miles on it.
Okay.
And recently I determined that there's a small coolant leak at the bottom of the radiator. And I'm wondering if you think K-Seal may be a reasonable solution.
Oh, I think it's a reasonable starting point, because that radiator is going to cost you $500-600, and then now here's one thing that I would ask you, because here's why the radiator is leaking. How many miles on the car you said?
155,000.
Okay, so. And when did you buy it? How many miles when you bought the car?
I purchased it new in 2007.
Okay, so this has nothing to do with K-Seal, but it has everything to do with why it's leaking. How many times have you changed the coolant over the life of that vehicle since you've owned it?
I would say I've had it flushed twice.
Okay, the reason I asked that question is because, and this doesn't mean that if you had done it every 50,000 miles, which it released, it should be done every 50,000 miles. I wouldn't say that it would not still be leaking, because a leak can leak whenever it gets good and ready, and that's because the radiator's aluminum and it has tanks, and they're sealed by an O-ring, rubber O-ring, sort of a sophisticated rubber O-ring, and over time that O-ring gets brittle, and the radiator does two things: it gets hot and it cools down, and it gets hot and it cools down. I mean, that's its job. And then it transfers, of course, the heat from the coolant into the air. So if you had probably serviced it every 50,000, which means you would have serviced it, 6 times? Each time it's serviced, there's a conditioner that is added to the coolant that helps seal, the water pump seals and gaskets and the interior. Because, Eric, the inside of a cooling system is a pretty toxic, volatile tornado of hot water and air bubbles, which you don't want. But anyway, the short answer is, by all means, use the K-Seal, and you can go to kseal.com to determine which particular of the 3 or 4 different offerings they have. You won't need the head gasket sealer. You won't need the mega sealer, which is for semis. So all you need is a regular cooling system sealer. But by all means, I would do that. In fact, I did do that when my Viper that I'd never used, and I did service it regularly, but I didn't use it, which is just as bad as not servicing it. So once a year, and I would change the coolant once a year, and then somewhere in its, and I kept it for 16 years. It was an 01, had 31,000 miles when I sold it. So over the years, because it's set, I noticed one day I drove it home just to kind of keep the seals, that's funny, keep the seals pliable. And the next day when I left my garage, I saw coolant on the floor of my garage. And so I put in the can of the K-Seal, and I never had a problem since then. And the person that bought it from me, 3 years ago, has never had an issue. So the answer to that question is yes. The good news is the K-Seal has a ceramic filler versus sodium silicate, which is what the older systems use. And so it won't damage anything, so you have nothing to lose and everything. But here's what I would ask you to do. I would ask you to put that in this week, and because you'll see immediate results after 15 minutes. And then call me next week and let me know if it stopped the leak. Would you do that?
That sounds great, Bobby. I appreciate it. I do have one question. I did a little research on YouTube, and there was one viewing where there was a concern not about K-Seal, but about sealants in general of clogging the heater core.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard any concerns about that with K-Seal?
Absolutely. And that's one of the bright points or the good points about K-Seals because it's made of ceramic particles that are so small and that are manufactured or, well, I guess formulated is a better word, not to clog any particular part of the automobile. And I'll simplify it for you. Those products are tested using, let me simplify it. A screened-in porch has X amount of little squares per inch, right?
Correct.
Little square. Okay. So let's just say a normal screened-in porch, I think, is about 24 squares per inch. Now, if you made it 12 squares per inch, then it wouldn't keep out the small flying gnats and what have you. So there has to be a small enough port or a window to block out insects, or it wouldn't do its job, but yet it has to be open enough to let air come through, or it wouldn't be a screened-in, nice, cool back porch. So these companies or any company, whether it's K-Seal or others, that manufacture a stop leak use a simple term like a 24 screen, which means 24 squares per inch, and that's the size of the mesh. And there's nothing in any of the K-Seal that won't go through the 24 per square inch mesh, or even smaller for that matter. So that's one of the bright points in one of their marketing. It's one of the fact that it has ceramic, and they're the only one. So yeah, try it, and I look forward to hearing from you next week. You got it?
Thank you so much, Bobby. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, my friend. You too. Nice to get a call from out of the bag from Nevada. 888 Car Clinic. Give me a shout now. Coolant leaks are never fun, but they can be especially challenging if you're far from home and repair shops are closed, like many right now. It pays to be prepared. Keep an emergency road kit in your vehicle, and inside should be a number of items, including K-Seal. K-Seal is a pour-in solution that helps stop cooling system leaks. It features ceramic technology designed to repair the leak without clogging. K-Seal is available nationwide at parts stores like Napa Auto Parts. Check NapaOnline.com for store hours and shipping options. That's K-Seal. Don't just seal it, K-Seal it. As we kick off National Car Care Month in the midst of COVID-19, making sure your vehicle is road ready has never been more important. The Car Care Council remind you it's the perfect time for a thorough check of various vehicle maintenance items, like brakes, batteries, tires, cooling system, filters, headlights, and the exhaust system. Visit carcare.org to find out how you can best keep your vehicle safe and dependable. It's National Car Care Month. Are you Car Care aware? Learn more at carcare.org. That's carcare.org. This Car Repair Spotlight brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. This week, a 2009 RX 350 Lexus came in with 85,000 miles and a loud noise in the front suspension. Now, a lot of noise-related repairs can be difficult to pinpoint, but this one was easy. Left front strut locked in the upright position, causing a banging noise even over the slightest bump. Solution? Replace all struts. We called our local O'Reilly Auto Parts professional and ordered 4 new strut assemblies, and also made the decision to buy Master Pro brand, which has performed really well for our previous repairs. We also performed our pre-repair brake fluid procedure while we had the wheels off to save our customer possible caliper issues later on. A 4-wheel alignment and balancing all tires made this 10-year-old Lexus drive as new. Our service team was happy, our customer was happier, and we know we made another great choice by collaborating with our local O'Reilly Auto Parts professional. That's why we make O'Reilly Auto Parts our first call. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
The airlines like to have sales. Summer getaway sales, holiday sales, winter sales. Truth is, at any moment, some airline somewhere is on sale with low fares to great destinations. Travelocity knows exactly what's going on, who's on sale, to where, and when, at over 700 airlines worldwide. We even have this nifty feature that lets you look at a calendar so that you can see exactly the days the great fares are available. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere. AOL keyword, travel.
Hun, guess my temperature.
It's 2 a.m. Go to sleep.
Come on, one guess.
Higher, 98.
Higher.
Higher, 99.
You're getting warmer. Wait, I'm getting warmer.
Cold symptoms keeping you from getting a good night's sleep? Get NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever so you can sleep better to feel better medicine. Use as directed.
One more guess.
100?
Yes. Tell her what she's won, Bob.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Hey, welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for tuning in every Saturday from 10 till noon. We're going to take your calls at 888-227-2546. That's actually 888 Car Clinic. So for those of you who can't remember the number, 227-2546, just think of Car Clinic and you can go through that funky way of trying to figure out which one. I used to hate that. I still do, but I had to come up with a number other than the 800-264-5454 that our announcer, Marty White. And by the way, some 28 years I feel guilty now. 28 years ago, I paid Marty White, who is a friend of mine and is a famous local DJ and radio personality here in Pensacola, Florida. He's retired now. Said, I said, well, Marty, would you voice this for me? He said, sure. So I paid him $100. That's the best $100 I ever spent. And I know that he's got every time he hears that, say, I got $100 for that. How many times is he going to play that? And that's where the NASCAP comes in. That's where and if you didn't know it, whenever you see a replay like Friends on TV, which I never did watch, but now I'm watching it for some reason, every time that airs, those actors get paid. But every time I'm introduced by Marty White, he never gets paid. So, Marty, thank you. I love you. I owe you. Let's go to New York, take a call. First, let's go to, we'll go to Colleen in New York. And, folks, 888 Car Clinic is the number for you to call. Colleen, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I understand you're a traveling nurse?
No, I'm not a traveling nurse. I'm the case manager for 4 houses, group homes of people on the autism spectrum.
Oh.
So I travel between these 4 houses.
Well,
they can be, the 2 farthest houses are about a 40-minute drive from each other. So, yeah, I put a lot of miles. I got this car, 2010 GMC Acadia.
Mm-hmm.
I got it in 2016
right.
From an auction, and it had 72,000 miles on it.
Okay.
I also have 6 kids that I drive around to sports and dance and all these activities, work. And I have put 120,000 miles on the car in 4 years.
Wow.
So I've always gotten, every 3,000 miles, gotten my oil changed. When I first got the car, I had the radiator flushed, and all the general upkeep maintenance done on the car as soon as I got it. I've replaced brakes. I've replaced hubs and bearings, and I haven't replaced them, but my mechanic has.
Right.
So I've kept up pretty good with the car. I just got my air conditioning fixed 2 weeks ago, and yesterday I was driving the car. No, excuse me, Thursday, driving the car between 2 of my houses, and it started making this terrible clunking sound, terrible knocking sound in the engine.
Mm-hmm.
I did replace the timing chains, 2 of the 4 timing chains were replaced last year, but it always still had this tiny little ticking from the engine.
Mm-hmm.
So Thursday I'm driving to one of my houses, and it starts this terrible knocking sound in the engine. I pulled off into a local state parking lot where it promptly died. The AAA guy came to tow it to my mechanic, and he checked the oil. He said, it sounds like oil. I'm like, I just had the oil changed when they did the air conditioning 2 weeks ago, so It's not that. But he pulled out the stick shift, or the stick, and he said there's metal shavings in the oil. I didn't see them, but he pointed out that that's what those shiny little things were. And then he admitted he's not a mechanic, but those are metal shavings. And I said, okay. So we got it to Joe. Joe said it was a bearing in the motor. Now it's got 189,000 miles on it. I've not had any major things except for the timing chain. I love this car, but my mechanic says that to replace the motor, it'll cost me around $3,000. So I don't know, and if there's metal shavings in the oil, he didn't tell me whether there was or not, but is it worth putting the $3,000 into this vehicle, or should I just get another vehicle?
You should get another vehicle. And here's why.
Okay.
Here's why. Those particular vehicles do not have a fantastic reputation for trouble-free driving. And even at 100 and what have you got? 130,000 miles. What's the total mileage on
I
it?
put 130,000 on it in 4 years.
And it had
It's got 190 right now.
190. Well, number one, a used engine, it would have to have less than 30,000 miles on it, or 40, for me to feel comfortable that you were getting your money's worth. And to find a used engine that has a good history and has had care would also be somewhat of an issue and an unknown. And I'm giving you the good side now of replacing an engine using a used engine. And there are two ways you can go. You can use a remanufactured engine, not a rebuilt, a remanufactured engine that comes from a big company. And there are lots of big companies that O'Reilly Auto Parts has a supplier of remanufactured engines, so you could talk with your technician and the O'Reilly Auto Parts counter person to determine the warranty if you decided to go that way. And so while this is not a simple question to answer, I have to speak from the heart here. I would not put another dime in that vehicle. You're lucky that you've got 200,000 miles on it. It served you well. It's a shame that the air conditioner went out, and you had to put that $1,000 or whatever it cost to make that work. But there's a time to hold them and a time to fold them. It is my opinion, given my experience with Arcadius, it is my opinion that you should now move up, step up. And I would recommend to you, and I'm not in the sales business, I would recommend an RX Lexus used or an NX Lexus, and it depends on the size. The NX is the smaller SUV, and the RX is the larger, although it's not huge. They've got the G series, which is the big one. So, and that's a gas hog as compared to the RX, et cetera, et cetera. So my first choice, and it's funny that you should call me about this because I'm in the process and have been for the last 6 weeks of searching for one such automobile for my daughter who lives in St. Louis, in O'Fallon, Missouri. Anyway, so the bottom line is I think you should look at a used Lexus RX, or you should look at a used NX, because you can buy, and a friend of mine just locally here bought a used NX that had 13,000 miles on it, and it was a 2019 model. I mean, so a 2019 model has, number one, all of the safety features. So let's put aside the money. There are safety features on 2017, 18, 19 vehicles that would make your drives safer and make your kids safer. So even if you were saying, it's been a good car, but it's got some age on it, which it does. It's got miles on it, which it does, and it has upcoming problems, which now they've surfaced. So I seriously, and I would suggest that you trade the car. You're not going to get anything for it because it has an engine knock. Now I will say this. Without removing the oil filter, you know what a blood sample is. You're a nurse. Take a blood sample.
Yeah.
Well, without taking the oil filter, which is like a lymph node, okay? It's one huge lymph node instead of having 20 or 30 under each arm. It's one lymph node. You take that and you take a can cutter, not a saw blade, because if you use a saw blade, you create metal shavings. You take a pipe cutter, and you slice the oil filter can open, and then you take the filter material, which looks like wafers, W-shaped media, and you spread that out, and you can look into each little wafer, and it's simple. If there's metal in there, there's metal. Now, we already think we know there's metal, but sometimes you can pull a stick out and it looks shiny. And, so to a novice, it might look like it had metal shavings when it didn't. So the first thing you want to do is make before we condemn the engine, which we already more or less have, is to pull the filter and cut that apart. And your technician, your mechanic knows how to do that, and spread it out, and you look at that. And I mean, and you're not in that field, but doesn't matter. You know what debris looks like, and so that's the first thing that you should do, so that you can, in your mind, and that's what I'm really working with now here, is your comfort level. Then you can put to bed, okay, we know the engine's got to go. So do we get a used one? Well, hey, you don't want to get a used one because you're going to get the same thing. You're just lucky you got 190,000 miles, because those Arcadias were not known for a lot of miles because they had some carbon problems and other timing, like timing chain. I mean, the timing chain at 150,000 miles, that's ludicrous. The car should go 250 to 300 before you get any kind of chain noise with care, and you did care for the car. So, having said all that, I would strongly suggest that you look for a used car. And there are lots of there's, and I'll give you a couple here. There's a Car Guru, which is where I found.
Yeah, I've been looking on.
Yeah. And then there's True Car. A friend of mine just found a car on True Car recently. Then there's Cars.com. And then in there, Auto Trader. So there's 4 of the major players, and I did find a specific, and it had to be a specific, new smart car for my wife, and there were only 2 in the U.S. And I live in Florida. I found this car with 11,700 miles on it in Boston. She flew to Boston and drove that 1,500-mile trip back in that smart 48 and it's one of the best cars I've ever bought. And it's the new special edition, not the newest one, because they went south. They went to EV with 48-mile range. Give me a break. But anyway, I won't go into that, but that's what I would suggest that you do. And I'm out of time, but any quick questions?
I actually was looking at Expedition.
Expedition.
What do you think of, like
an Expedition is a larger vehicle, and let's continue. I know that Tim's on the line and other callers, but I do have an opinion about Expeditions as well. So you stay right there, and folks, you stay right there. I'll come back and let me finish the story. Spring has sprung and summer's around the corner. We're all hoping for a return to some normalcy, which means road trips to the beach, the lake, grandma's house, and other favorite vacation spots. A little preventive vehicle maintenance now will help you avoid trouble ahead. Visit carcare.org to find out how you can best keep your vehicle safe, dependable, and roadworthy. While you're there, order your copy of the free Car Care Guide for your glove box. Go to carcare.org. That's carcare.org. Bobby Likis here. When you have rusty nuts and bolts, use PB Blaster. Of course, sometimes you end up spraying more than you need. Well, not anymore. Blaster's new Pro Straw with Control Flow technology is a better way to spray with a new flip-up clear plastic straw and a cool volume adjuster to control the flow from a wide spray down to just a drop. It's more precision and less mess, and no one else has it. Look for the new Blaster Pro Straw on cans of PB Blaster and Multimax synthetic lubricant. Always use Blaster products and work it like a pro.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Waking up can be a chore, but mornings knocking on my front door. Know just what I'll do. Put on a pot of Folgers brew. Mountain grown aroma hits the spot. Helps me give all that I've got. An opportunity to start out smiling and happy. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
I'm privileged to be involved with Capstone Adaptive Learning, formerly known as United Cerebral Palsy, for over 25 years. Since 1953, Capstone has provided quality care programs for persons with developmental disabilities like autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and intellectual disabilities. Dr. Sherry White with her team are dedicated to Capstone's clients, and 100% of your contributions stay local to serve those in this community. Go to capstoneadaptivelearning.org to see the difference Capstone makes.
Technology moves at the speed of innovation, and today, That's lightning fast. So when you get your hands on the latest tech, don't forget to do the right thing with your old devices. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old tech device as easy as purchasing new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the responsible recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find lots of tips to simplify your recycling, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Television sets, video game consoles, smartphones, tablets, they're all recyclable. Don't let them clog up your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org. You're sharp enough to get the latest tech tools into your home. Now be responsible enough to get your old devices to the recycler. That's greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. We're talking with Colleen in New York, who has a 2010 GMC Acadia that needs an engine. And so I think the general consensus here between the two of us, Colleen, is to get another automobile. Now, having said that, for all the reasons that you and I have already discussed, you mentioned an Expedition, but that's a larger vehicle. So are you looking to buy, and that's larger than an RX, a Lexus, which is a better car, by the way, than an Expedition. So is your goal to get a bigger SUV and have more room?
No, I actually would. I still have 4 kids at home, so I need something, like a 6 or 7 passenger without it being a minivan, because I never want to drive one of those again. And I figure that maybe next year I can afford a small, not a great big tow behind, but a smaller tow behind camper, like maybe a 20-foot. So I need something that'll tow a camper, and that will, a lot of times I'm doing some home improvements right now. I can fold down all the seats in my car and throw stuff in the back of my car. So I'm looking for something that I can use for, going and getting topsoil or sheetrock or, whatever. Plus, fit my kids when we're traveling.
Well, that's ironic because as we speak, I'm actually building a new add-on to my home, and that in 2011 we completely renovated. In fact, we were out of our home for 6 months. That's how extensive that renovation was. What started off as a new bathroom ended up as a new home, and I won't go into that story. But you laugh, the 8x8 plywood, So here's what I'm thinking. And I'm not a GM fan. I used to race Fords, but if I were to look at a used vehicle of that size, I would think Tahoe. I would think number one, there are many of those, like the Expeditions. The whole market's flooded with those cars. So you can find not only the one that you want, in either if you buy a GM or a Ford, not only can you buy the one that you want, you can find the color combination that you want. And if you look long enough, and of course you can do that over a couple 3 weeks. Even if you had to rent a vehicle, it would pay you to get the right one. So having said that, if you're going to be towing a little 20-foot trailer, what's the weight of the trailer? Would it be 4,000, 5,000?
Oh, I have no idea what this is just a
I got you.
Want. It's not a need, it's a want. I would like to be able to take my kids camping again, and something small that I could tow.
Well, then I'm going to have to say that a V8 is in order, because if you're towing, the V8 I think is a better choice. So I'm going to recommend to you to look at a Tahoe, and the Ford modular V8, the 5.4, has historically had some issues. And I don't know, I'm just trying to think what Toyota makes. See, we have one customer that has a Toyota Tundra that has 600,000 miles on it, and never had timing chains, never had the engine opened up, and it's quieter than my Jag with 70,000 miles. Of course, the Jag was always noisy to start with, but noise means, there's some chain slap, and noise means that sooner or later, whatever's making the noise is going to get worse. And so I may want to change the type of oil that I'm using in it, but then when I get to 75 or 80,000 miles, the point is, I think what you should do is you should look at those companies online that we talked about, and get the V8 version. One thing about a GM or Ford, you can get those repaired anywhere, anytime. So if you broke down on the side of the road, there's a gas station that's probably got a mechanic within 2 miles. I mean, seriously, as opposed to other cars, for sure, don't go into the Mercedes, the Audi, the VW arena. Stay in the Ford or GM arena. And I don't know that Toyota. Toyota make the best cars. But by the way, the Toyota makes the best used cars in the world. Used cars, they do. But in your case, you like the Ford, so look in that arena and look at the mileage, and it would be better for you to buy the latest model. And I'll close with this: it would be best for you to buy the latest year car, which is the youngest vehicle you could buy, even if it has more miles. In other words, if you found a 15 model that had 50,000, and you found an 18 model that had 50,000, the 18 model is a better car than the 15 model. Because every year there are mistakes or frailties or parts that are installed in new cars that over time fail. That's where TSBs and recalls come from. And so when the manufacturer continues to sell the same car over again, like the Expedition and Tahoe, over and over and over again, every iteration, even half year, is a better car than it was at the beginning of the year, because things break, and now that the manufacturers and the aftermarket has instant knowledge of all these things. I mean, just like an independent automotive service shop, when you sell a car, you go to Carfax, and they have all the service records from your car. If you deal with an upstanding, savvy, independent service shop or a dealership, all that information is not almost all is shared these days. So you can find not only the car that you're looking for, the vehicle you're looking for, the SUV, truck, whatever. You can also, for the most part, find the services that have been performed on that vehicle. So that's Carfax that you want to look, if you find the car through any of the online services that you and I've already talked about, and then you say, okay, now I'm down to 2 cars, then go to Carfax and then see the service record. And then once you get all that, you call me back, and I'll be glad to share with you my knowledge of the 60 years of knowledge, really. Okay?
Okay, sounds great.
Sounds great. Take your time, be patient, and do what you have to do to either rent or borrow or steal or, beg for on transportation in the meantime. You got it?
Okay. Thank you, Bobby, so much for your help.
Thank you so much for your confidence in me, and I'm looking forward to when we get down closer to the color and the seats and all those good things that make car buying fun. Thanks, Colleen.
Well, it's got to be red. It's got to be red. So.
There we go. See, there you go. You already got. Now you got either a Tahoe or an Expedition, and it's got to be red. Well, and what's next? Well, it's got to have 3-row seats. Then what's next? Well, it's got to have
sunroof.
Yeah, there you go. So you're on your way. Okay. Hey,
thank you, Bobby.
Talk to you again.
I really
you're welcome.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Bye bye.
Okay.
Let's go to New Mexico. And welcome Tim from New Mexico. But before and Tim, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Connect. Thank you for holding.
How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. But I mean, I was just so enamored with Colleen and her situation, because I'm right there with her. I have a daughter she's not married. She doesn't have any children, but she's still looking for a smaller version of an SUV used within her pocketbook, which I've already told her, hey, it's not going to cut it. You gotta bump your budget $100 a month, because she sent me a budget of $300 a month. I said, that's not going to get it. You can't buy the car that you need. So I want you to automatically go to an extra make it $400 a month. And so she said, okay, Dad, I'll do that. And it was important to me because I don't want to see her save $100 a month, $1,200 a year, and get a car that's too old and too worn out and doesn't serve her purpose. And then she's not happy because she works for Citicorp. She's one of the VPs there of AML, which this is really interesting. I'll share this with you. AML, I call it, that's not what it calls for. I call it automatic money laundering. And
wow.
I know it sounds, ooh, but it's AML stands for automated, I don't know. Anyway, they track accounts so that whenever there's unusual activity on your account, then they know it. And several years ago, to my knowledge, Citicorp didn't have it because they're a global company, did not have this systems in place. And now, not only does is she really good at her job, they actually send her to different states so that she trains other people so that they can monitor accounts and whenever there are strange money that's moving around. And I just recently wrote a check to a construction company, and I get a note from Morgan Stanley saying there's unusual activity in your account. I mean, and that's really what they do. But anyway, what she's looking for is a replacement car for her 16-year-old vehicle, and it's time because she's been nursing that car for too long, and she needs something of her own. And she works, and what else is she going to do? We need to enjoy our life. Okay, let's shift gears. Gas price, national gas prices. I know not where you are in Mexico, but national gas prices today are $2.13 a gallon for regular grade gasoline, and that is a price that is up since a week ago, but it's down since a year ago. How about in New Mexico?
Let's see. Today I looked up and we were $1.76.
Wow.
Excuse me.
Well, the cheapest, just for you to know, the cheapest of all of the 9 regions is 181.5, and that's on the Gulf Coast, which is where I live. The most expensive is on the West Coast. It's $2.72, and what you said was $1.70.
$1.76.
$1.76. Well, see, what's that? That's 96 cents higher per gallon. That's 30 gallons on a 30-gallon tank. That's $30 every time somebody fills up their car in the West Coast compared to there in New Mexico. And then you, as you shared with me before, you have other areas that are within 50 miles of you. And folks, this gentleman drives cars and delivers sold cars. Oh, by the way, Tim,
yes, sir.
You heard the conversation while you were on hold between Colleen
yes,
and
sir.
me, right?
I wish I was in on it.
Well, what's your opinion? Because she's still tuned in, probably.
Yes, and I want to compliment her for everybody that's in nursing these days. She's helping her community, and we all don't say enough for our doctors and nurses.
Kudos.
Our firemen.
Absolutely.
And our policemen. And
yes. We talk about it, but we don't talk about it enough. So I'm with you. I think it just and that probably was part of my reasoning for spending so much time with her. But anyway, you heard that. What else? Did you have any more ideas with regard to used vehicles of her nature that she's going to?
She needs to. I would say she sounds like a tough lady. Sounded like a single mom, so
yes.
She's got a good head on her shoulders.
Yes.
Talk to the neighbors and friends that are car people and see which dealer, in my opinion, that they would recommend, and then go in and talk to another lady, because the ladies talk to ladies much more truthful.
Yes.
And I would recommend lately, because of so many Toyotas I've been driving, go to a Toyota dealer if possible and say, what do you recommend? Again,
well, what do they have that's equal to an Expedition or a Tahoe?
They got several. You can go. Most of them in 4-wheel drive unfortunately. I wouldn't need a four-wheel drive. She probably doesn't.
No,
they make some fantastic minivans in bright red.
She said no minivans.
She doesn't sound like a minivan lady.
No, she said she was. She said I was going to recommend that, because let me tell you, I had two minivans in my life, and I love both of them. I had a '97, and there was nothing wrong with it, but when the 101 came out, the 2001s, it had the sliding doors. I had to have that, and I'll tell you, we put 170,000 miles in that vehicle, and the last 75,000, everybody in my employ drove it into the ground, and it still worked really well when I sold it. So yeah, I'm with you, but she doesn't want a minivan, and a minivan's not made for towing anyway.
No, not at all.
No. So
Sienna.
Yeah.
If she's still listening, I didn't catch her name, but a Sienna van. I've driven many of those, and lots of my relatives have a Sienna.
Yeah.
They're fantastic little sleeper hot rods. They're amazing.
But for towing, they're not, though, are they?
No, not for towing.
Well, see, she wants
she made one.
Yeah, she wants a tow. She wants up next. It's kind of a gleam in her eye. And why shouldn't she, at this time, of all the people that deserve a bump up, why shouldn't she, at this time, buy a vehicle that is already ready for her to hook up her 20-foot trailer and go camping with her 4 kids next year? I mean, that's
yes.
So this is a great opportunity for her to plan. And what's really a lot of fun is, if you get bored in life, and we all from time to time get, in those situations, if you start planning a project, all of a sudden you talk about that with your family and your friends, and you get ideas. So I think that the fact that you and I have had this conversation, and that she and I had the conversation, it's going to be really a lot of fun for her over the next couple of weeks. I just hope she gets back with me when she has the last 2 cars. Hey, I'm out of time. I see that Joseph is on the phone, but Tim, thank you so much for calling. And where do you live?
I'm going to New Mexico.
Okay. And the price of gas?
Right now, it's pretty hot.
Yeah. 173, right?
176.
176. Hey, my man, thank you so much for calling. Look forward to hearing from you.
Yes, sir.
And with that,
talk to you guys later.
Thank you. Yeah, later, and later means next hour. We have a whole nother hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic coming up after the top of the hour. I'm Bobby Likis, your host. Like us, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Folks, here's a great story for you. One of our listeners had to fly from Oregon to Maine to pick up his daughter and drive back home across country. She had an older Trailblazer that was not particularly well maintained. They rented a U-Haul, packed everything, and began the trek home. Shortly into the trip, the engine began to run hot due to a leaking radiator. The initial thought was, of course, to find a local shop that could help, but with shelter-in-place orders all around the country, that was difficult. They did find an auto parts store and purchased a bottle of K-Seal along with some coolant. K-Seal stopped the leak, and they finished their trip without any additional coolant leakage. Now, more than ever, it really pays to be prepared. Maintain an emergency road kit and be sure to include, among other items, a bottle of K-Seal. You can find K-Seal at fine parts stores nationwide, like Advance Auto Parts, and you can check the store website for hours and shipping information. And remember, if you have a coolant leak, don't seal it, K-Seal it. And remember, if you have a cooling system leak, don't just seal it, K-Seal it. For more information, go to kseal.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
If you're familiar with the Kulseford section of the newspaper, you probably understand this message quite well. You see, in the Kulseford section, everything gets abbreviated. Consonants, vowels, prepositional phrases, the very building blocks of our language are thrown right out the window. And that makes it difficult when you're trying to sell your car. You've got a limited amount of space to work with. And by the time you abbreviate the description of your car down to a couple of fragmented sentences, it sounds less like a car and more like a Bluck sedan with sniffed like new condition lemals. No wonder more people are selling their cars through eBay Motors. They can post unlimited text and photo descriptions, and with a nationwide marketplace, they're likely to sell it for more. Plus, both parties can be covered by eBay's Vehicle Protection Program. Buyers are happy, sellers are happy, and no one's abbreviating. eBay Motors, a better way to sell your Cur.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1 minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And good morning, folks. Welcome to this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. That's the name of the program, celebrating 28 years and going stronger than ever. And by the way, if for some reason that you didn't get the program last week or the week before or today's program, you're out of town, and you want to listen to Car Clinic podcast, you can on the go any week. You can go to Castbox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Spreaker. I think of Streaker when I think of that, but it's Spreaker, Spotify, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio, as well as our Google podcast and iTunes, and just subscribe. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by Berryman Products. Berryman's been helping consumers and repair shops alike since 1918, providing solutions to help maintain and improve vehicle drivability. What is drivability? Well, you stay tuned and I'll tell you all about that. In the meantime, drive on over to berrymanproducts.com. That's berrymanproducts.com for more information on all of the great products that they offer since 1918 and continue to offer products that we use and I use personally. Great product. I'm glad they're partners of ours. And I'm waiting on your calls. Miss Millie will take your call at 888-227-2546. When I come back, we're going to Joseph with a very interesting question. Folks, you should always carry a pair of jumper cables in your car and make sure you know which terminal of the battery is positive, which is red, and which terminal is negative, which is black. So hook the black cable to the black terminal and hook the red cable to the red terminal on the good car and bad car. And make sure you park your cars close together so that your cables can reach. For detailed information about how to do this, go to autobatteries.com, courtesy of Clarius. At autobatteries.com, you'll also find information about recycling, technology, testing, and maintenance. That's autobatteries.com, courtesy of Clarius.
O'Reilly Auto Parts has everything you need for summer car maintenance, and our professional parts people can help you find the best oil change supplies for your car. Get 5 quarts of Valvoline Max Life motor oil and a MicroGuard filter for $28.99, plus a $7 gift card after mail-in rebate. For your summer oil change, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You've heard me talk about Motorrad's leading the way with automotive thermostats, fuel, oil, and coolant caps. Now, Motorrad's using their expertise and Tier 1 OEM facilities to deliver advanced engine management solutions. Products like camshaft and crankshaft sensors, ignition coils, mass airflow sensors, even variable valve timing solenoids. And Motorrad's aftermarket products are designed and manufactured to meet or exceed original equipment specifications. Learn more about Motorrad products and industry-leading application coverage at Motorrad.com.
Did you just look down at your phone? You did it again, didn't you? You know, you're flying down the road in a 3-ton hunk of steel, and a text takes your eyes off the road for an average of 5 seconds. At 55 miles per hour, that's long enough to travel the length of a football field and cause some serious damage. Turn it off. Trust me, whatever it is, you'll live.
Learn more at stoptextsstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Another lending success story from LendingTree.com.
Car dealers like playing games. They play percentage points, they play markups, but I don't like playing with my money. So I got my auto loan through LendingTree.com. I filled out one simple form, a marketplace of banks and lenders competed over it, and I got 4 offers back within hours. After all, the car buying game is a lot easier to win when you're holding all the cards.
LendingTree.com. When banks compete, you win. For additional information and state license disclosures, please visit our website located at LendingTree.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextsstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started with today's broadcast. This is our second hour. Every Saturday from 10 till noon Eastern Time, we come to you at WatchBobbyLive.com. Go to WatchBobbyLive.com, and you can see right in the studio right here, or on your local AM and or FM radio stations. Let's go to Joseph without any delay. Joseph, thank you for being so patient. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Good morning.
Good morning, Bobby. How are you doing today?
I'm terrific, man. And you have a general question, and I'm so excited about this. And what Millie put down was how to tell when a car has been flooded.
Yeah, and also part of that question is where can you really go to validate besides Carfax? Because I've learned Carfax is not always necessarily 100% accurate.
Well, the onus would be, I don't know the answer to that question. And I agree that Carfax is not always accurate. In fact, I sold my Viper, and during the sale, the person that ultimately bought it, who was a technical person worked for an air base, worked on helicopters, actually the kind that those clandestine, Black Hawk. He was a mechanic, so the guy was really built he looked like he was 60 years old, Joseph. I swear, he is 80 years old. Oh. And when he came to drive the car, he came twice. When he came to drive the car, I introduced him to my wife, who was here, and she made him, didn't make him, but she insisted he pull out his driver's license because she didn't believe he was 80 years old. I think she was just excited because he's so ripped. Thanks a lot. but really, she appreciated the fact that he had taken such good care of himself. He pulled out the report on my car, and I didn't even know Carfax had the files, but they did not have all the files. So I'm sure you're right there. So here's the bottom line. When people buy used cars, anybody, a certified used car, and if you go to General Motors or Ford or Mercedes or Infiniti or Nissan or the Infiniti or Lexus, they all have their own little descriptors, as to what a certified car is. But there's one thing in common: service records. So anytime that you're looking for, and folks, this is for anyone looking for used cars, you always, if it says certified, it doesn't mean mumbo jumbo bumbo. It might, but except there's got to be one line in there, and that line is service records, records, health records. I mean, and so therein lies the common denominator for any manufacturer of any used car. If it's certified, they must have and must include the service records. So that's what I know about buying of used cars, other than the fact that anytime that you buy a used car, even if you can't get any of the above, you still take that used car to a certified shop and have a technician look at it and give his or her opinion, because they have trained eyes. They know what to look for. Just like your original question is what? How to tell if a car's been flooded, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the question maybe the way I told her was, yes, how do you tell? And I think I know the telltale signs, but there's what motivated me to call you was that there was enough information now. There's enough information now to ask somebody like you who's been in this business forever to find out where you could possibly go. I thought maybe there was a reliable website run by the federal government when it comes to cars that have gone from state to state, simply because this was, I can't say the name online, I'm sure, and I wouldn't want to embarrass them, but this vehicle was bought from a local car dealer, a new car dealer, as a used car, but it came out of, guess where? It came out of Mississippi. It came out of New Orleans, the whole Katrina area. And during the same time, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I wonder if that's why all of these telltales are there, that this thing looks like it's been flooded.
Right.
You can have a flooded car and still get it dried out enough and get it to run, and maybe somebody didn't even know. But I just thought, well, if somewhere along the line somebody tried to clean up this title, I don't know, but it seems awful odd to me, and because weird things start happening, you know what that means. I mean, there's gremlins in there, right?
Oh yeah. Definitely. Now, as in the state of Florida, if a car is flooded by salt water, it is automatically a title that's what they call there's a name for it, a remanufactured, rebuilt title.
Okay.
So in the state of Florida. Or if it goes into a swimming pool, and there are cars that do end up in the swimming pool. Anytime, and I've actually worked on one, and years ago, this used car dealer bought a car that had been in a swimming pool and brought it to me and says, I know this car's been in a swimming pool, but hey, I can spend $5,000, $10,000 on this car. And I said, well, let's take a look at it. And so I was curious myself. So we looked at it. We pulled the radio out of the car, Joseph, and the radio looked like it was the Titanic inside. It looked okay on the outside, but we took just the little cover off the radio, and the printed circuit board was like, you couldn't believe it. Anyway, we were never able to fix that automobile, and that dealer was not happy with me because we did spend some money to try to get there, but ultimately, A was hooked to B, was hooked to C, and it went all the way down to X, Y, and Z. I mean, this car was we didn't know that until we started, because it looked good. It had already been to a cleanup shop and all those things. Now, here's something that we have to get more simple than this in lay terms for all of our listeners, because my answer to you is not just for you, it's for anyone looking and to have that same question. Here's the easiest way. Look at the under-seat hardware, because under-seat hardware has springs and cables and motors and connectors. So if a company is detailing a car that's been flooded, and they even know what they're doing, the person or company that's paying the company to detail it can't possibly pay them enough to take the seat out and take the tracks apart and respray the black tracks and the springs, because see, the springs are not painted. The connectors are naked, so they'll be corroded. The drive cable's metal, and it will have corrosion on it. And see, whereas normal seats have dust, and they got, no matter how clean you are, you look under there, they're dusty. But that's about it. And you'll see some debris and those sorts of things. And also, last but not least, the simple nuts and bolts and washers where the seat tracks bolt onto the floor, they don't. If they're replaced, they won't be factory. Now, what does that mean? Well, if you go to a hardware store and you buy a 3/8 nut and a flat washer, you're going to get a regular galvanized 3/8 nut and flat washer. Well, the factory doesn't use those sorts of things. They have specific hardware that is whoever supplies them, but it's not Ace Hardware. It's some manufacturer of nuts and bolts that supplies them, because they don't buy a box. They buy a truckload or train load. So the bottom line is, the easiest thing is to look at the seat hardware and look if it's rusted and or aged. And aged will there be some oxidation on a normal car? Yeah, sure. But the oxidation is different from wet, and rust. And then let's see.
Right.
And then also the door panels. So you're not going to pull the door panels off unless you can see that they're faded on the bottom. But let's just say it's been disguised and it looks really, really good. The kick pad. You know what a kick pad is? It's that part.
Yep.
Okay. And for those folks that don't know, it's the part where your foot rests on the angle on the floorboard, and it's that part on the left-hand side. On a lot of cars, that's where they put the hood release on that kick pad, like Mercedes used to do on the side. That's the kick pad. That's pretty easy to remove, and once you remove it, you cannot if it's been wet, you will see the water line. And let's see what else. Pull the back seat up, and lift the carpet. And if the carpet's all been replaced, they still aren't. A trim shop's not going to replace the hardware. And if they do, if it's so bad that they do, then it's not factory hardware. So I don't know of any. I doubt that there's any car. I won't say any because never is never. I never say never. But I doubt very seriously that there's any information, that there's any manufacturer or detailer that could detail a car that I couldn't determine it had been underwater. And you can do the same thing with your eyes. You got it?
Yeah. I got it. So
hey.
I'm gonna do some little more searching, and if I find out at the end what is what, I will call you back and let you know what I learned.
And that way we'll let everyone across the nation know. Joseph, thank you so much. Great call.
Yes, sir. You have a great day.
Thank you. Folks, keeping the car clean, and this is really what this is all about, and not about flooded cars, but about your car. And I have information for you from our partners at Car Care Council. So go to carcare.org and you can see an article on flooded cars. And when I come back, I'll tell you a little more about keeping your car clean from the Car Care Council. Spring has sprung, and with COVID-19 center stage, it's never been more important to be car care aware. The Car Care Council reminds you that April is National Car Care Month. Here are a few things you should consider as you prepare for the months ahead. April showers can bring hazardous driving conditions with slick, wet roads. It's a great time to make sure your brakes, tires, and windshield wipers are ready for the rain. Talking specifically about your brakes, how can you tell something's wrong? There are a number of signs. If your brakes are spongy or squealing, or if you can't stop without pumping, or other indicators include your car pulling to one side when stopping, your brake pedal sitting lower than normal, and your brakes requiring excessive pressure or grabbing with the least amount of pressure. Any of these symptoms mean you likely need your brakes inspected. For more great tips, videos, and recommended service schedules, visit carcare.org. And while you're there, order a free copy of the Car Care Guide for your glove box. That's carcare.org. Vehicle reliability is always important, but now more than ever, your car or truck needs to start, run, and run well. Berryman and their family of products is here to help you maintain your vehicle, whether you're still commuting for an essential job or it's an occasional trip to the grocery or the pharmacy. Berryman B12 Chem Tool with Hest technology is a perfect pour-in solution which helps break down carbon deposits that may form while the vehicle is sitting and helps disperse moisture and dissolve gum and varnish. And Berryman's 4-step professional air and fuel system management kit improves hard starting, rough idle, poor fuel economy, and overall drivability. And Berryman's B60 high mileage oil system rejuvenator cleans and protects the crankcase and engine oil system of all gas-powered vehicles, including those exceeding 60,000 miles. Since 1918, Berryman has been here to help consumers and repair shops alike. More information? Go to berrymanproducts.com. That's berrymanproducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Telephone tip.
From Geico Auto Insurance.
When calling Geico to switch your car insurance, you will not need acetaminophen, naproxen, indomethacin, ibuprofen, a cold compress, an on-call acupuncturist, or any other pain remedy. In 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more. If it were any more painless, you could do it in your sleep, which is theoretically possible since we offer complete 24-hour service. Call 1-800-947-AUTO, 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
When you purchase the latest TV, tablet, or smartphone, don't forget to do the right thing with your old ones. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old devices as easy as buying new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find recycling tips, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Don't let your old tech tools clog your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Terrific program today, great questions, and I just feel like that the connection that you and I have is just wonderful. And when I can sit here in this really nice studio, by the way, which is really cool, and isolated from all distractions, and share with you my years of knowledge. And just like the calls we've had today from Colleen from New York that's looking for a used car, who's a nurse and takes care of other people, it warms my heart. So I thank you for tuning in to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And we talked about at the end of the last segment, the Car Care Council, about flooded cars. Well, if you go to carcare.org and search for flooded cars, there's a complete article there with a step-by-step detail on what you can learn to determine if the used car that you're buying has had a, no pun intended, a washed title. So that's one of the things that the last caller and I didn't get into was washing of titles. And you better believe that you can have a car that's got a condemned title in the state of Florida, and it will end up on a used car lot in Mississippi somewhere with a clean title. That happens. It happens all the time. But let's talk about keeping a car clean, because our friends at the Car Care Council, in fact, Rich White is the executive director, and he says, and I quote, "A clean car is money in the bank," end quote. And I couldn't agree more. Keeping your car clean inside and out can pay big dividends, folks, when it comes to maintaining the long-term value. The nonprofit Car Care Council suggests some really simple steps, and I'm going to share those with you right now. So listen up. This is from our partners at the Car Care Council. Declutter. We can all declutter. You start the cleaning process by removing any excess clutter from inside the car that can be, well, distracting and hazardous, especially when debris finds its way near the gas and brake pedals. And I don't know how many times I've dropped a cell phone. I have a magnetic mount for my phone, and you hit a bump large enough and it falls to the floor, or my glasses or whatever, and all of a sudden I've got to reach down. That's dangerous to do that. So get rid of that clutter. Clean the interior. Then a car drives better cleaner. The next step is you thoroughly clean the interior. Wash the windows and clean and install the floor mats. A clean and orderly interior allows you to spot issues in the cabin so you can get them repaired before they get worse. What does that mean? If you see something hanging down because you're there vacuuming the carpets that it wasn't hanging down the last time you vacuumed the carpets, take it into a service shop and say, "Hey, what is this?" Wash the exterior. Give the car a good car wash top to bottom, and always start at the top and use tons of water. And use products, use car wash soap. It's made for automobiles. Do not use dish detergent. There are certain times, like cleaning under the hood, that you would want to use dish detergent. And also, you can use a dish detergent on the exterior if you're doing like a clay bar. Now, what's a clay bar? I won't get into all that except to say that that's when you want to spend 2 days on a car to wax it and what have you, but that's not the normal procedure. So no dishwashing detergent on the cars unless you have plans to restore the wax that it strips off. You always clean the tires and wheels before washing the body, and don't use, well, I don't know if I agree with that. I wash my tires and wheels finally, but that's up to you. You don't use the same bucket, that's for sure. And wax twice a year. Waxing not only protects the vehicle's finish, but it also makes subsequent washings easier. And folks, just for your information, wax is made of oil, and 140-degree dissolves oil. So if you think that you can wax a car and it's good for a year, you're wrong. The only thing that you can do to the exterior of a car to make it last the finish is to do a ceramic coating. And I will tell you, the reason I say this, because I've had that process done recently on my car, on my Porsche. It took 3 days, and this car is a car that I kept clean for I've had 35 years, and I haven't driven it. I put 350 miles on it since 2004. But it had a haze on it where I'd washed it and waxed it so many times. Because every time you wash a car, you scratch it. Every time you wax a car, you scratch it. It took, in fact, Kyle Messick owns a company right here in my own town called Vital Car Care. Took him 3 days to prep a beautiful car that was already beautiful before he could put a ceramic coating on it. And it is drop dead gorgeous. And last but not least, if there are any chips, if there's a minor paint damage, cover the paint chips as quickly as possible, because that makes the car look newer, cleaner, and the cleaner you keep your car, the better it will drive, and the more you'll take care of it, and easier it is to maintain. Why? If you got a car that rattles like a rattle trap, where do you start? If you got a car that has one rattle, it's pretty easy to find that one rattle. You see where I'm going? If you let it go and then let something else go, pretty soon you got a dozen let goes, and it's an old used car that hasn't been cared for. So to properly care for your car, go to carcare.org. While you're there, there's a car care guide that you keep in your glove box that gives you just a plethora of information, videos and how-tos, and I mean, it's a hell of a site, carcare.org. Okay, let's take a call from Chris, who has an 08 Ford F-150. Chris, thanks for holding. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hey, Bobby.
Hey, sir.
Well, you answered one of my questions. I was going to ask you about that ceramic coating, so you answered that. Yeah, on my 08 Ford, I just recently had the transmission rebuilt.
Okay.
And I want to say approximately about 300 to 400 miles, all of a sudden the trans fault light came on, and around about the same time the engine light came on.
Right.
I don't know if they're associated or what that could be. Transmission seems fine. I mean, it shifts fine. It shifts, smoothly. I don't know if it could, and did start running on idle a little bit rough.
Well, because the transmission is working well, and because it was rebuilt, we're going to assume, and it's okay to assume because you're the driver, you know when it's right or wrong. So let's not focus on the transmission light. Let's focus on what we know is causing an issue. Something is causing the engine to run less than properly, and the check engine light is on. Now, we also have to realize, or you do, Chris, that the transmission light could affect the check engine light and cause it to come on as well. So the check engine light could have been triggered by the transmission, something that's not right in the transmission, but that would not cause the engine to run poorly. It would cause the engine, they are duly connected and very closely related, because the upshift of a transmission is determined by the load of the engine, the RPM of the engine, the speed of the engine, all of those factors. So if you're going up a hill, then the car's going to stay in a lower gear longer, versus if you're going down a hill, it's going to upshift immediately, because it said, he's going 40 miles an hour with no throttle. Well, yeah, so I need to go ahead and upshift. So I would go, here's what I would recommend. I would go to a service shop that has a professional scan tool versus a parts store that uses a kid's scan tool. Because you're not interested in checking the codes. You already know there's a code there. We already know that without even going there, because the light's on. So when the light is on, the check engine light, forget the transmission, the check engine light is on, go to a pro shop, have them scan the codes and give you a readout of what they find. And there's a difference between reading a code and scanning the electronics. And here's a brief description. Every car on the road has a gatekeeper for its electronic operations, and the typical handheld, inexpensive trouble code reader, even an app on your phone, can only get as far into the application or into the architecture as the gatekeeper will allow, which is, there's a code here. Okay, well, we got a 10-room home. We got water coming out the front door. Where'd it come from? Well, a code reader would say, you have a flood in the house. We know that. We want to get in the house and see which room it is. Oh, that's where you get a professional scan tool that can go into each individual room, per se, and test for where the water and where the pipe is burst in the wall. So that's what you're to do, is go to a shop, and you can go to ASA shop, asashop.org, and you'll find a good shop there, because the owner of shops, those owners who really care about the industry and want to learn about the technology, are usually, generally speaking, specifically, quite candidly, members of asashop.org, because of the information, and because of the procedures, and because of the integrity, and because of the what motivates the owner of the shop, whether it's money or if it's service to his clients. You got it?
Got it.
All right, so go to asashop.org. Find you 4 or 5 shops within your 5 miles or 10 miles of your home, and call those shops and say, I need you to scan my car and explain to me what your charge is going to be. And some might not even charge you to check it. Some might charge you to check it more in depth. But you're not asking them, Chris, to diagnose your problem. You're asking them to tell you what their machine learns when it goes deeper into the vehicle than just the gatekeeper. And therein lies the difference. And one more thing that I'll share to make it really simple. You and I are at a Starbucks and we're having coffee. We look across the street and there's a house on fire. Well, we got a code reader and we say, 911, there's a house on fire. Well, that's what a code reader does. It says there's a house on fire. But a first responder needs to know where the fire started. So that's the difference between getting into and beyond the gatekeeper to find out where the house started on fire, and that's the difference between a professional scan tool that's $6,000 and a $35 handheld unit. Hey, Chris, thanks for your call, folks. More calls coming up at 888-227-2546 when I come back. Spring has sprung and summer's around the corner. We're all hoping for a return to some normalcy, which means road trips to the beach, the lake, grandma's house, and other favorite vacation spots. A little preventive vehicle maintenance now will help you avoid trouble ahead. Visit carcare.org to find out how you can best keep your vehicle safe, dependable, and roadworthy. While you're there, order your copy of the free Car Care Guide for your glove box. Go to carcare.org. That's carcare.org. You've heard me talk about using PB Blaster for breaking free rusted parts. Well, now, with a Blaster Pro Straw, it's even better. But that's just one of the specially formulated products from the Blaster Corporation to fix, loosen, lubricate, penetrate, and conquer each job. There's Multimax synthetic lubricant, garage door lubricant, white lithium grease, and much more. So don't bust your knuckles, bust nuts with PB Blaster. Available at home, auto, or hardware store near you. Always use Blaster products and work it like a pro.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
More than 1 million wild animals are killed each year illegally. Poaching is a major threat to our country's wildlife. I'm Tom Barry. I'm an actor with a desire to preserve living space for wildlife. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust does just that. Works with private landowners to protect wildlife, to preserve natural habitats. To learn more or to work with the Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust, call 800-729-SAVE. That's 800-729-SAVE, or visit wildlifelandtrust.org. Thank you.
Did you know 26 million Americans have kidney disease and most don't know it?
The day I was diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I called the National Kidney Foundation, and the young lady who answered stayed on the phone with me and walked me through step by step. She too was surviving kidney disease, and she showed me there could be life after kidney disease.
Visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org. Now you know.
We're a land of cynics. We don't believe anything anymore. You know why? Because we've been told we've won $1 million, that it's new and improved, that it slices and dices, that our favorite singer is still alive, that we'll be prosecuted if we cut off the tags, and of course that everything is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So when we hear the words customer service, we don't believe it. Travelocity isn't surprised if you're a little skeptical when they say they have excellent customer service, and that there's actually a pleasant face behind this website, a living, breathing person with a supercharged computer full of answers. Someone who's willing to help when you get lost, and most of all, someone that will actually pick up the phone when you call with a question or a concern. Customer service is just another example of how Travelocity puts you in control of travel. Chances are you'll never have to use it, but it's good to know it'll be there if you need it. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. A compliment just came in through our Watch Bobby Live chat room. And it's a compliment from a listener for not only me, but for my team. So if I may, I'd like to share that with you now. The gentleman says, I live stream KURM in Rogers, Arkansas. And the colonel, of course, is the owner of that station and is one of the most impressive individuals I've never met. But I have such an admiration for the colonel there that owns the KURM in Rogers, Arkansas. And so Gary Smith in Arkansas goes on to say, again, I live stream KURM in Rogers, Arkansas, and it is on KURM that I found Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I live in Flower Mound, Texas. Your program is wonderful. Thank you. Gary Smith in Arkansas. Gary, thank you. Thank you so much. A compliment to Millie and to Jonathan and to John, our team here that keeps us rolling every week. Let's go to South Carolina, take a call from, and folks, this gentleman's been on the program multiple times over the years. He's a retired state trooper from South Carolina. Jim, welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. How you doing?
How you doing, Bobby? Your program's not only good, it's a God thing.
Hey, I appreciate you. I'll tell you, I really do. I respect you and your profession, and so what can I possibly do for you this morning?
Real quick story. My granddaughter's got a 31-foot camper. She used my Duramax to pull it to Georgia, and I wasn't happy about it. Nobody's ever driven it but my son and me. So her birthday came up, and I've been looking for a week on the internet of Duramaxes. They're 250,000 miles or 300,000. And my cousin, who drives an 18-wheel across the United States, he got on the internet. We found a 2008 Duramax SLT loaded with the thing that takes you GPS, got a tuner. It's got front bumpers that I've never seen before. They're made by Road Armor. Have you ever heard of that?
I have not.
Well, it's a beautiful truck. It's got 167,000 miles on it. Is that good for that truck?
Well, yeah, 167,000 miles, but there's one thing I want to see, and it sounds like something that really it's going to fill the bill. You know, if you heard me speaking earlier about certification and certified used cars, the certification, of course, this can't be a certified vehicle because of the miles, except we could take the main ingredient of certification, which is service records. Can you buy this truck from an individual, or is it offered with service records, or do you know?
This is a one owner. My nephew, he knows how to deal with these people. It's a reliable dealership. He's already checked on it, and He said it's fine.
Well,
it's a beautiful truck.
Well,
amazing.
What's your question for me then? In my opinion of the truck?
Yes, sir, and the mileage.
Oh, the mileage, 160,000. So what? It's a Duramax. I mean, if it was 300, well, you know, you got transmission, you got 4x4. You know, you got a lot of ifs and ands and buts. But 160,000 miles on a diesel that's been cared for and is a one owner. The only thing that I could say, and this probably won't happen, would be wonderful if you could talk to the owner of this vehicle. But as a rule, dealerships strip out everything that will connect the original owner, because the reason that people trade their cars into one of the reasons they trade into dealerships is so they can't be tied to the new buyer, because, you know, there's always, well, I wish I'd known this, or who, you know, I mean, people don't want the responsibility, and you can't blame them, because that's why they trade the vehicle. Sometimes
my best friend's got a dealership here in Anderson. He sold a 2005 with 140,000 miles on it for $20,000.
He sold a 2005 for 120 with 120,000 on it. So
he sold it for $20,000. Had 150,000 miles on it.
Well, that's a good buy, I would think. And I'm not a truck guy, so, you know, I don't know that much. But Jim, I will tell you, the 160,000 miles doesn't bother me if the truck is really great. And I would check out Road Armor online and find out what that means and why, and just curious as to why the original owner wanted that bumper and what it looks. I don't even know what that looks like.
Well, the dealer said he spent about $20,000 on his truck. It's amazing.
Yeah, well,
I got it for $23,000. It's a 2008.
Well, I say good. I say kudos. I think you should change all fluids in the vehicle and have like an annual inspection performed by some shop, and get a third set of eyes on the vehicle before you say, okay, here it is, let's put it on the road. That makes sense?
Yeah, the dealer's already serviced it. The oil filter, fuel filter, and the filter on the transmission.
Well, that's a plus. But it still needs brake. The brake fluid needs to be changed. Coolant. So you know, when I say fluids, I'm talking about body fluids of the vehicle, which include, but not normally changed, include the power steering fluid, because I can assure you, if it's got 50,000 miles, the power steering fluid's burned. So power steering fluid, coolant, engine oil, transmission, differential, and brake fluid. Those are the main. That's the lifebloods. Okay.
I'll take to my guy who's servicing my truck, the Shell Rapid Lube, and I'll let them go through it.
Okay, sounds great. Hey, thanks for sharing. That's great. What color is it?
It's solid black. Beautiful truck.
Well, if it's black and it's beautiful, black doesn't take care of itself. Black demands that the owner take care of it, and you know where I'm going there.
I wish I could send you pictures of it.
Well, why don't you? I mean,
what number do I use?
Well, use my email. Just send it to producer@carclinicnetwork.com. I did John smiling now. I just put out his email, but send it to producer@carclinicnetwork, all one word, .com. carclinicnetwork.com. Okay, got to go. Jim, thank you so much, and be safe.
Thank you.
Okay, folks, and then speaking of being safe, it's at these particular times in our life, we all need to be safe and stay safe. And I find myself sharing that with folks every day. And now I want to share with you a message from our partners, O'Reilly Auto Parts.
As we navigate the COVID-19 crisis, O'Reilly Auto Parts is dedicated to serving you. We've been deemed an essential business, so our doors will stay open. We encourage you to buy online, then pick up curbside. Together, we're committed to getting through this.
And there, I couldn't agree anymore. So hats off to O'Reilly Auto Parts for their upfront and their offers. And O'ReillyAuto.com, you can buy a part there and they deliver it to your door. Really? So I'm proud to be partnered with O'Reilly Auto Parts. And now we're going to go back to the phones, take a call from some guy named Jeff in some town in New York named Owego. I'm just pulling your chain here, Jeff. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
I already see that, Bobby. I knew this was going to be a busting situation as soon as I got on.
Hey,
I knew it.
Hey,
by the way,
you're from New York. You can take it. You can take it.
I have very broad shoulders. I can tell you that. I'm short, left-handed, and Irish.
Oh, my gosh. Boy, if you had a little Greek in you, you'd really be tough.
Well, actually, I am. My daughter had Mongolian birthmark, so there we go.
There you go. Well, what are we going to talk about there from Owego, my friend?
Okay, well, Captain Jim's picking on me, too, here online via YouTube. I don't know about a virtual chili cook-off. It must be by presentation. I would definitely lose.
Let me tell you something. He's the guru. I mean, I have been invited, and one of these days I promised him, and so I will fulfill that promise, maybe in 2021. He's invited me to be a national judge of a chili cook-off on their international championships, and I said, well, I've never judged. He said, that's okay. You come in a day early. We have classes that help you understand, and I'm going to do that one of these days so that I can say that, number one, I met Captain Jim. And folks, Captain Jim's one of our best friends. He lives in Nevada, Las Vegas, Nevada, and he was the captain for John Wayne. So he has tons of stories. But due to time constraints, Jeff, what are we going to talk about today for you?
Okay, Bobby. I want to recharge my AC system. Do you just recommend going, let's see, renting a set of gauges versus just using that can and putting it in, or what?
Do not use that can or putting it in or what. Do not rent a set of gauges. What needs to be done to properly service, the procedure is to go to a service shop. This is worth your money. You go to a service shop, and what that service shop will do is use an automatic hands-off machine. The machine's fantastic, and it takes away the human error. Almost nothing takes away the human error, but they use a machine. We use a machine, and any shop worth its salt will use a machine. The machine will extract the existing amount of refrigerant that's currently in the system and measure it, and then the technician will compare what's in the machine that's recovered from your car, your vehicle, and then it will recharge with a proper amount. Now, if there's 0 or a 0.2 of a pound of refrigerant, you got a leak. If there's 0.8 of a pound and it holds 1.2 pounds, then, and it's been 3-4 years, no big deal. So by all means, I recommend a service shop, and I would recommend an AC repair shop, because they do the service every day. They like been there, done that, how many times. So I really think that it would be the onus on you, is this, I assume, the first time you've serviced this vehicle. Does the system work okay now?
Yeah. I mean, it's okay, but it could be just a little bit cooler.
Yeah. I'm with you. Well, I feel the same way about my car. My car has 73,000 miles. It's going on 7 years old. And I know it's time for its service, because it works okay, but it works a lot better if I'm going 50 miles an hour and that compressor's turning, or, so I think either I'm low on refrigerant or my compressor is starting to age, but I would never condemn the compressor until I had it serviced, and I need to do that. So I'm gonna suggest to you what I intend to do on my own automobile, and that's take it to a service shop that has the machine, and let them extract the old, and then pull a vacuum, and then put in the new. You got it?
I do got it. And if you want to hear something funny, my girlfriend couldn't understand why I had a meat thermometer sticking in my vent. I was measuring the temperature.
Well, there's probably a lot about you your girlfriend doesn't understand.
Well,
Well, we won't go there, though.
I am from up.
Hey,
I am from Owego. What do you expect?
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, hey, we all have to some cross to bear, so.
Bobby, the best show ever, my friend.
Thank you, Jeff.
So much.
Thank you, my friend. See ya. Let's go to Michigan. Arnold, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for holding.
Thank you. I have my grandson's 07 Buick Rendezvous with about 80,000 miles on it.
Those are always cool SUVs. I like them, and I was never a fan like the Arcadia we had a call earlier and those GM, but the Buick Rendezvous had a special look about it. And anyway, what's your question?
Well, my grandson just bought it not too long ago, and he drove it back from Florida to Michigan. And all at once he called us. He said the RPM is changing, and as I'm driving down the expressway, and it kept doing that all the way to Michigan, and it would change back and forth. Not so much that it would shift, but you could see the RPM changing, and he took a video of it.
Wow!
So when we
That's
got back
cool.
here, we took it to the local transmission shop,
Yeah.
and they said, "Oh, you need a
torque converter." Torque converter?
Torque converter.
Yeah, that's they are probably right. There could be an exception. The torque converter.
Yeah, well,
go ahead.
anyway, they said, okay, that's going to cost you about $2,500.
Okay.
And then, just out of curiosity, went to another transmission shop, and he drove it, and he said, "There's no transmission problem. It's good and solid." He said. So then they started looking at it, and about 6 months ago, just before it was put away for the summertime, we had a problem down there, a neighbor. So he said, we found a loose battery terminal. And they said, well, the battery was just changed this past winter by a company. They serviced it.
We're short on time, Arnold. We're short on time. So did that fix it?
Well, anyway, he said it didn't. That wasn't the issue. There was no torque converter problem. So they tightened it up. It ran good for 2 days, perfect, and all at once it started again.
Okay, here's what I'm going to ask you to do. With all due respect, we are out of time, so that's something I can't control. So
yes.
I have some ideas, and because it's possible you don't need a converter, but I don't have the time to share my thoughts and education. So call me next week. Arnold, please, at 10 till noon Eastern Time. 10 till noon Eastern Time, 2 hours. And folks, have a great week. Stay safe. Everyone stay safe. I'm Bobby Likis, your host. Likis, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Insurance 101, courtesy of Grundy Insurance. What is a total loss? When a vehicle's damage is determined irreparable or when the repair cost exceeds a certain percentage of the vehicle's insured value. There are several factors to consider, like damage that affects vehicle safety and lack of availability for specific parts. Grundy works with car collectors to prevent unnecessary total loss situations by providing agreed value insurance and offering the flexibility to adjust the insured value of your vehicle annually. Learn more about Insurance 101 at Grundy.com. That's Grundy.com. Folks, COVID-19's temporarily changed our everyday lives, and while many people are staying home, there's still plenty of people who depend on their vehicles to go to work. And even those at home need to get to the grocery store and pharmacy. Your vehicle's reliability has never been more important. Berryman Products is committed to providing the products needed to help maintain your vehicle, like the Berryman's Intake Valve and Combustion Chamber Cleaner Kit, which helps to restore power and remove economy-robbing carbon. Learn more at BerrymanProducts.com. That's BerrymanProducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
P. Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning. Happy morning, your name is Folgers Mountain Grow. Now you're here.